Let's delve into the local markets now. Owen Nkomo, Executive Partner at Inkunzi Invest, joining me at the desk. Owen, thanks so much for your time.
Welcome, Samantha.
So there we go, Whitey Basson talking to us about the share price, not trying to sell it, but he's saying he doesn't know why everyone's so disappointed, because he sees the bigger 20-year picture for Shop right now. Do you see the bigger 20-year picture?
Yeah, I agree with him. I mean, and he also called you a few nice things. Young, beautiful ladies with a lot of money.
Threw me off guard there. I don't know how to respond to that one.
Yeah, look, anyway. I mean, he's obviously right. He's sitting at the top there and he's looking at the long-term outlook for shop price growth. You've had the areas where he's keen on having more presence. He's indicated Angola is doing well. Nigeria, he doesn't think they've hit the tip of the iceberg as yet in terms of having...
Well, they say they should have 198 stores there, and they've got 3 stores in Lagos. I'm just talking about Lagos,
yes,
given the potential of the spending power in Lagos right
Absolutely.
now. So it shows you what they think they should be doing.
You're not talking about Ghana, you're not talking Abuja at all, so there's still quite a lot of cities that they have to reach out to. And I think, he's mentioned that East Africa is a bit of a challenge, and we've always known that. But as long as he's got presence in Nigeria and the surrounding countries down the line, and Angola is doing quite well. You've heard the stories about Angola, how everything is dollarized, and how there's quite a lot of growth potential in those spaces. I think ShopRite is definitely cushioning themselves well for a slowdown in South African growth per se. So any company that doesn't have presence in Africa, in my view, as we've mentioned before, is going to be challenged. You mentioned Pick n Pay. I think Pick n Pay still has a lot of work to do in terms of getting exposure into Africa. Guys like Spar Group, virtually not present to a massive degree, and names like Clicks, they still need to do something out there. So you're looking at capex going through for these businesses to get more presence in those countries, and ShopRite has just absolutely outdone them so far.
I mean, just look at capex for 2012, sitting at 1.3 billion almost. Outside South Africa, 250 million rand almost. In South Africa, almost 500 million rand. It's still skewed towards South Africa.
Yes, it is, and they've said they're planning to add about, I think, 150 more odd stores before the end of the next 2 odd years or so. Definitely, South Africa still a growth area. Everywhere you travel in the neighborhoods here, whether it's in the north or the smaller areas, they've got something going on. Either ShopRite's opening up or Checkers opening up. There's one that's opening up in Rivonia right in the next coming couple of months. So the guys still have room to grow, and they're still the best price competitor to the consumer in my view. So they definitely still have the upside relative to the competitors.
How would you rate ShopRite versus Massmart? Because if you had to look at the African story, they would really be to compare against because of the Walmart factor with Massmart. And we saw that trading update coming through from Massmart yesterday. Earnings are expected to be hit by an increase in funding to the Supply Development Fund. It seems the market just kind of very disappointed, even more disappointed with what Massmart's numbers are showing. Yeah,
but I would still go on to say that, the fact that Massmart is still trading around $180 shows that the market is still factoring in, the potential for a surprise on the upside based on the relationship with Walmart. That's why they haven't smashed the stock as aggressively.
Because I mean, growth down by 18 to 25%, you wouldn't think is certainly not good enough for the level and the valuation of the stock right now for Massmart.
Of course not. But like I've said, the story is that the guys are already present in Nigeria. They, and I think they're going to give ShopRite a little bit of a run. If you look at the way ShopRite is changing, or rather Massmart, the way they're changing their stores, to include food, etc., you can see that they're aligning themselves down the line to be able to compete with the likes of ShopRite. Now, the upside there will be the relationship with Walmart, where they'll probably have more negotiating power when it comes to sourcing, raw materials and stuff. But like Mr. Basson was saying, they've had longer relationships, and I think, for example, for a company like Pick n Pay to fight in a position of weakness, like he said, is going to be a challenge for them.
And then you talk about Woolworths, and Woolworths, as Ian Moore says, certainly not in his lifetime will food ever be a big part of their Woolworths offering on the continent. So that's all about the clothing side of the business. How are you seeing Woolworths stack up against the others?
Now look, Woolworths is obviously always going to be a better play in the retail space, in my view, because of that combination of the food and the clothing divisions. in Woolworths. You know, they're about a 50-50 split, and I think
more towards clothing though.
More towards clothing, definitely. But if you look at the Woolworths food franchises, there's nothing that can beat that in the country. That's why you're seeing, you know, development of the things like Food Lovers Market, for example, to try and compete with Woolworths. But they've done quite well in my view, and they have a few stores around Africa, and I think the idea is for them to also start expanding outside the country to a greater scale. It will definitely always remain the best pick in my view, because if you look at the selling that happened
at
today,
67 Rand.
Exactly. Even if the retailers were being sold, Woolworths I think closed still above 66 Rands.
So you're still buying Woolworths at these levels?
I'm still keen on Woolworths. I think it's got it offers a relative security if you compare it to the likes of Truworths and Foschini Group and perhaps even Clicks.
Yeah. What about Bidvest? Trading update coming through there. HEPS expected to be between 17 and 19% higher. What is the view on the company's outlook right now?
Look, I mean, Bidvest is also another interesting stock, you know, with their global diversification. You know, they've got the big food business in Europe, which is obviously going under some pressure margin-wise. But I think the currency being where it is relative to their last reporting period, you know, that's played well into Bidvest numbers. And obviously we need to include the Mumbai International Airport sale, which brought them kind of like 399 million odd rands to bring the numbers at 1 to 3% down. We were expecting those numbers, but Bidvest still remains a decent group in terms of the diversity. So I think it's a good play for the long term as well.
And the last stock we need to talk about is African Rainbow Minerals, because that trading update came through at 5 p.m. yesterday, and it seems it hasn't been a sharp reaction from the share price either way, up 0.4% today, but we know that there have been some concerns. Your thoughts on the mix of resources that the company has right now? Do you like what it's offering?
Yes, look, it's broadly diversified actually, and they've got a couple of big projects they're working on. They're working on a project in Gongola, in Zambia, where they spend quite a lot of cash there. So their product mix is actually well diversified, you know, and I think they've had challenges in the iron ore space, but I think, you know, their manganese space and the aluminium side, as well as the copper side, is going to come in and kind of balance out all of those challenges they're having. That's why you're seeing the stock still trading above 200 bucks. I think probably close around 204. So it's still definitely well supported. But if you look at a company like Anglo American on the other side, you know the challenges. They've got Amplas, they've got the drama that happened yesterday, and you know, if you go back to the Marikana days, ARI was still more resilient than all the other miners. So I do think that it's probably one of the better diversified players, especially when it comes to assets in Africa. Owen, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming through today. Owen Nkomo, Executive Partner at Inkunzi Invest.